Morning, everybody. It's Captain Erik Tilson. We're out here on Toho this morning, and we're out here early because it is hot. It's 6:15 in the morning, and it's whenever I pulled up to the ramp this morning, it was like 90 degrees already. Stormed most of the night, so it's like 100% humidity. It's miserable. It's thick. The air is really thick. It's hot. So we get on the water early and we try to get a few fish. This video and maybe the next one, I haven't figured out yet. I'm thinking about doing like a 2 or 3 part deal and kind of call it something like tackling Toho, or maybe the dog days of summer on Toho, or something along those lines. But I kind of want to give you guys something that kind of like what I come out here and I look for during the summertime when things get kind of tough out here. Show you guys some things that you can do to keep catching some fish, put some fish in the boat, and still make it kind of fun out here, because Lord knows it gets tough. But y'all come on. Like I said, I'm gonna try to show you guys a few things about Toho in the summertime. Starting off this morning, we are the mouth of Shingle Creek. It's freaking shallow, that's what it is. It's one of my favorite places to start in the summertime. You know, most days there's a little bit of current flowing out of here. And current is a big deal when it's really, really hot. A little bit better water quality, a little bit cooler water. You know, I trolled in here on trolling motor from the lake out there, and getting into the creek here already, the water temp's down. You know, just right here, it's 3 degrees cooler than it was out there in the lake. Water that's moving is a little more oxygenated than, you know, the really hot stagnant lake water. I checked the flow app this morning, and they're not pulling any water out of the Southport locks right now. So there is no current in the lake. So, you know, when it's really hot and it's really tough, one of my favorite things to do is to get in these little creeks if I'm not trying to win a tournament. Okay, let me preface what I'm saying here. You can come fish the mouth of Shingle Creek, or you can go, you know, fish these little creeks and stuff like that. You can have fun, you can catch fish. You're not likely going to catch a tournament winning bag, you know, unless we've had a hurricane and the lake is up, you know, 3 or 4 feet higher than normal, and then you get some big fish up in here. But you know, for the most part, a lot of what you're going to catch out of these places like this in the morning are going to be really, really small fish. But there's usually a lot of them, and they usually feed pretty good, which is what we're here for. Like I said, we got some current flowing this morning. I want to grab my go-to shallow water current bait, which is usually, you know, whatever you want to call it, whatever brand you want to use. For the sake of this video, we're going to call it a fluke. But a weightless fluke in current works really well. especially if it's really shallow. So this bar, you know, this current's coming out of Shingle Creek and it's swinging around right here, and it's kind of breaking over a delta that the current has made. You know, there's sand that's piled up right here, and it's really shallow, but that doesn't stop them from getting on top of that, especially with all this current. You know, the struggle with fishing other baits right here in this current is that, that's a bite right there. Struggle with fishing a lot of other baits in this current right here in this spot is that, number one, it's really shallow. Number two, everything in here is covered with sheet algae. You know, because a lot of the year, this water right here sits kind of stagnant. It doesn't have a lot of current in it, so it grows a lot of sheet algae in here, and gosh dang it, man. So like throwing, you know, if it was deeper and cleaner bottom, my go-to and current would be a real heavy lipless crankbait. But you know, if I get the lipless crankbait out right here and start hopping it and yo-yoing it in this current right here, it's gonna be immediately just covered in that sheet algae. Weightless fluke does really well though. I got a couple of other favorites of mine that are rigged up. I got a couple of swim jigs. You know, if they get really fired up, which more than likely they will, they'll be in here busting and chasing bait all over the place. Might be able to get them on a top water. Hell, we might even be able to get them on a swim bait. But the whole deal to this is, right now, because of how shallow it is, you only have a little bit of time in the morning to really get some of these fish, because they shut off fast. You know, like I was saying, it's really hot. Once that sun starts really shining, man, they pull off of that shallower delta, and they get back in the deeper pockets. And yeah, once they get back in those deeper pockets in here, they're a lot harder to catch. I mean, you could probably beat them to death with a worm, you know, beat them into submission with a worm or something like that, but there's better things to go do at that point. But we're going to talk about some of that stuff today. But in the meanwhile, we're going to try to catch a bunch of fish. There's one, guys. Like I said, not big, but they're fun. Man, he cracked that fluke pretty good, actually. Wow, that's crazy. So he is really cold to the touch this morning, compared to, you know, the lake water and stuff like that. So I believe that he was he's been in the deeper hole and has just moved up here on top of this this shallower hump, this little delta in the mouth of Shingle Creek to feed this morning. And yeah, he fed on the wrong shad this morning. Alright guys, we ran around the corner here. Still on Paradise Island. And you know, essentially this morning we fished community holes. Shingle Creek is a community hole. This shell bar that we're on right now, which is almost no longer a shell bar, it's just about completely choked out with Hydrilla, is a big time community hole. You know, most of the time these spots aren't great, but sometimes they're not bad. For me, they're usually worth a check. So we're gonna fish a little bit, see if we come up with anything. I'm gonna chunk the big bluegill bait around for a little bit. Those brim beds. It's usually a good sign, but I don't know, we fished through all that and nothing. Hard to beat that bite right there, guys. Hard to beat. Punching Hydrilla, for me, that's a straight up addiction right there, man. God, that bite is just incredible. That's not a giant. That's a nice fish though. See how healthy that fish is. A Hydrilla just breeds a different fish. Gorgeous fish, absolutely beautiful. 1 ounce hogtech, dirty Albright P&P Reaper. That's my go-to Hydrilla setup. I almost didn't catch up to that fish, so get out my other punching setup. This is a faster setup. This is a I got a Revo rocket on here. It's 10-to-1 gear ratio. That custom built-in Getsu right there that I was flipping with is a great reel, but it's nowhere near as fast as this rocket is. You know, if I was fishing in a tournament out here, I would let that mat sit for a little bit and I would actually circle back around and flip it again, because the way that that fish hit that bait and shot out of that mat with it leads me to believe that there may be some other fish in there. When they're competing for food like that, a lot of times they'll grab and run. That's such an awesome bite. May not be super great today because we don't have the sunlight that I really believe we need to have to push them under these mats. Flipping these Hydrilla mats is actually, oh man, she came all the way to the surface for it and missed it. Oh, she had it. Gosh dang it, man. One. Oh God, man, I don't know how that fish came off. She came up and jumped and she had that thing all the way in the back of her throat. Dang, that was a weird bite though. It was a weird bite. It was another one. She grabbed it and you know, I had pitched about a foot inside of the edge that I could see, and she grabbed it and she was running back to me, and whenever I pulled back, basically my entire hook set force never made contact with the fish. I essentially ripped the line out of the Hydrilla, and man, she had that thing way back there. That's fun stuff. We're gonna leave a bag of these out. That's that P&P Reaper doing its thing. Nice fish. Isolated clump of hydrilla out there. Not quite topped out enough to flip. So, slung the old pippinator in there. She got it. Not a bad fish. Big head, skinny body. That pippinator. June bug pippinator. That is of all the worms that are out there that you can buy, that is a Lake Toho staple, I'm telling you. Oh, he ran out and got it. That was hilarious. I watched him. Ran out of the mat and grabbed it, kind of like a swim jig bite. Pretty cool. Tiny little clump of hydrilla. You never know. You never know. Giant, dude, giant. Oh my God. Get the boat. Oh, man. Look at that thing. It's on that new flipping jig right there, boys. Y'all haven't seen that yet. I don't even know if I can show that to y'all yet. That's why we're out here flipping hydrilla right there. That's why we're out here flipping hydrilla right there. Hydrilla gorillas on that new Bakewell Custom Jigs flipping jig. That is a tank Hydrilla Gorilla on the new Bakewell jigs, flipping jig with the CPF lures reaper for a trailer. We're gonna turn her back loose into the jungle where she belongs here. Hell yeah. It's good stuff right there. That will get your blood flowing. I don't care who you are. Man, what a strong fish too. Look at all that hydrilla she mowed out of there. All that cut up grass. Man, she was mowing stuff down. That was awesome. It's on the 1 ounce Bakewell custom jigs flipping jig. We've been working on this jig for a long time. Like I said, I don't know if I can talk about it or not yet. I got that reaper for a trailer on there. CPF lures 9X braid. Black. Really quiet going in and out of the jungle. Extremely strong. You know, nobody believes me when I tell them, but I'm actually flipping, frogging, doing everything with 45-pound braid. Braid has come such a long ways, especially the CPF stuff. The days of having to use 65-pound and 80-pound braid, you know, you got a rope that you're trying to catch fish with, and those days are over. Man. Another one on the jig, boys. Nice fish. Get in the boat. Boom! Whew. Let me grab the boat before we run over the mat. Look at that. Bakewell Customs flipping jig. I'm telling you guys, that jig does not play around. God, that fish was going nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. Great fish. Strong. Hydrilla flipping fish. Love it. All right, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and close this out because I'm ready to go. I'm hungry. I've had my fun for the day. And I gotta go home and get ready. I've got guide trips for the next few days out here. So, in closing, the north end and only fishing the north end of the lake is pretty cool. The north end of Lake Toho offers a lot of different things that you can fish. I didn't fish all of it. You know, I didn't record myself fishing the FWC fish attractor up here. Most of you guys know about that kind of stuff. We fished some shell, fished around some bluegill beds, all that kind of stuff. But as you guys saw in the video, the key to most of the success today was the running water, or you know, that current fishing at the mouth of Shingle Creek this morning. That was pretty fun. Obviously those fish aren't very big, but it's always fun to go get some slime on your hands first thing in the morning. Then after that bite was over, you know, it was kind of a grind. Ran around trying some stuff, threw the frog a lot today, and had little to no success on the frog. We had a bite or two on it. They really didn't seem to want anything on top. They didn't really want to eat the horse. They were just being really weird today, and that's not uncommon this time of year. It's hot, the water's hot, and most days this time of year it's really sunny. There's no wind, and today we had cloud cover and wind, and it's just kind of a weird deal. And the rest of the day didn't really start kicking off until we started flipping some hydrilla, started flipping some isolated stuff. And You know, that's how we wound up catching the two biggest fish of the day. And definitely all the best quality came from flipping isolated hydrilla clumps up here. So that's always cool. That's a favorite technique of mine. You know, the goal with this is to not show you guys worm fishing. The goal is to show you guys some other stuff. So with that being said, let's talk about today's top baits. Obviously, my #1 pick is going to be that jig that I was flipping. This was a brand new jig when I started today. Probably can't see that, but the head is chewed. It's got teeth marks all over it now. And that's a 1 ounce Bakewell Custom Jigs flipping jig. And I've got a P&P Reaper by CPF Lures in the color called Dirty Albright as a trailer, in which I nipped off the little crawdad appendages and left the little flaps on the back end of it. And man, they really liked that thing. Earlier in the video, I was punching just a straight Reaper, and they were eating that really good. That seemed to be getting more numbers, but it seemed like when I started punching that jig, some bigger bites started coming, bigger fish started coming in the boat. #2 for today, probably be plastic worm, June bug pippinator. We all know about it, don't need to talk about it. #3, man, I cut it off and I put a devil's horse back on it, but #3 for what we did today would have to be that weightless jerkbait. I was on a watermelon red Zoom super fluke, completely weightless, throwing it on mono, and you give it a couple twitches, let it flutter in that current, and they were eating it pretty good. Other than that, we had a couple bites on a swim jig. You know, some of these, if I'm being honest, some of these fish on these hydrilla mats out here, if you were to back off of them and throw something across them or through them, like the swim jig, they would probably eat it just the same. Now, I didn't try it today. Tried it a few times, had a couple short strikes, but they would probably eat it just the same. I don't know. Probably should have tried it. But I'm gonna wrap it up with that, because like I said, I'm hungry. I'm ready to go get some lunch. You guys let me know in the comments if you guys like these style videos. Like I was saying, there's going to be a part 2 and a part 3 to this. It's going to be the Lake Toho series for summertime. The next one I'll shoot, I'll focus on the middle section of the lake, basically from, you know, Lanier Point, Granada, down to, say, Reds or Bella Lago. That one's going to be challenging, you know, because once you get very far south of Lanier Point, the lake is really choked out with grass. So, but I know a few tricks, I know a few things that I think I might be able to offer to you guys to show you something cool. So part 2 and part 3 will be coming. I'm gonna end it on that. You guys let me know if this type of video helps you, and let me end by saying that this is not all that there is. Okay, anytime you're bass fishing, anytime you're fishing for any species of fish, there's always more than one way to skin a cat. What I showed you today was just an example of me running around trying some things, okay? You know, there's probably guys catching them up shallow. There's probably guys catching them farther out than what we fished. There's probably guys catching them up there by the boat ramp at Big Toho Marina. It's not me. It looks like a hay field up there. I'm not going up there. Like, when I say the hydrilla is out of control up there by Big Toho Marina, it's completely out of control. But yeah, this was just kind of my take, you know. This was just one day, but hopefully, you know, you guys can take something from this and learn it. And we'll see you on the next one. And remember, if you guys are in the Central Florida area and you're looking for a guide to maybe help you improve on your electronics use, maybe you're new to live scope and you want to get better with your live scope. Maybe you want to learn your Humminbird 360, or just have somebody show you how to dial your units in a little bit better. Or maybe there's a new technique that you want to learn, or maybe you're in the area and you're just looking to go get on a trophy bass trip, hit me up. Let's get you on the schedule. I always leave a link to my website and my email. There's ways to contact me. All that stuff is in the description. I leave links to the lures that I'm using in these videos. Make sure you guys check out the description. And like I said, if you're looking for a guide for whatever reason in Central Florida area, hit me up. Let's get you out on the water. Let's teach you something. Let's get you your personal best. Let's go fishing. That's it, guys. We'll see you on the next one.